This week, Rabbi Sai, for Parshas Pinchas, we're going to invoke the original mandate of this year, and that is to speak about topical inyanim as well, and therefore we're going to speak about several different interesting aspects of the 3 weeks. As you all know, we commemorated Shivos B'Tammuz on Tuesday of this year, which begins the period of the 3 weeks, which are called the Bein HaMetzorim. And it's days of Poronius and mourning, and it's not a happy period in Jewish history, because these are the final weeks that led up eventually to the Churban Beis HaMikdash, both the first and second Beis HaMikdash. As we all know, Rabbi Sai, besides the fast days that we commemorate on the 17th of Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, but there are also halachas of Avelis that apply, which means just like an Ovel doesn't attend chasanis, and an Ovel does not shave or take a haircut, so at least according to the minig of the Ashkenazim, from the beginning of the 3 weeks until after Tisha B'Av, we don't make chasanis and we don't shave, etc. So there is a suffix in halach, an interesting suffix. When exactly does the 3 weeks begin? Meaning as follows: we all start fasting on the morning of Shivos B'Tammuz. From Alois HaShachar, which is the first light on the 17th of Tammuz, that's when the fasting begins. But the question is, when do the halachas of Avelis start? Meaning, is a person allowed to engage in the things that are also in the 3 weeks, but he's allowed to engage on the night of Shivos B'Tammuz? Meaning, let's say you forgot to shave you forgot to shave, and lo and behold, Shivos B'Tammuz, you can no longer shave tomorrow. But what about the night of Shivos B'Tammuz? Do we say that just like you're allowed to eat the night of Shivos B'Tammuz, and you can eat up until Alois HaShachar, so hu adin, the halachas of Avelis don't begin either until the next morning? Or do we say that no, that as far as eating goes, so there we're makel and we're lenient, and we say the fast doesn't begin until the next morning, but in terms of the halachas of Avelis, then they begin even from the night before. The nafkamina, Rabbi Sai, another nafkamina is, are you allowed to make a chasana on the night of the 17th of Tammuz? Meaning, the next 3 weeks, Rabbi Sai, we're not going to be attending any chasanas. Sometimes it's important for people, whatever reason it may be, they could not get another date. The only date they could get is the night of the 17th of Tammuz. Now, albeit the fact that the Ksuba will read B'yom Shivos B'Tammuz, when everybody will see that, they'll say, gee, how did you get married in Shivos B'Tammuz? The answer is, you got married in Shivos B'Tammuz at night. So if we say the halachas of Avelis actually begin the night of the 17th, so one would not be allowed to get married, one would not be allowed to take a haircut, etc. Or do we say that just like the tainus, the fast, doesn't begin until the next morning, hu adin, all the halachas of Avelis as well? So the truth of the matter is that this is a machlokes harishonim and mesechta tainus. The Shulchan Aruch Rabbi Sai paskins in Siman Tov Kuf Samachei that uva'arbat seimis gam hayochid oimrei b'chol tfilas da'afilo yichsenu bulmis v'yochol shaykh shaper l'meimer anenu b'yom seim hatainis hazeh. The Shulchan Aruch paskins that we say anenu beginning with Ma'ariv of the tainus, which means the night of Shivos B'Tammuz you say anenu, hu adin shakris, hu adin mincha. Now, we, the Ashkenazim, don't hold like that. We hold that you only start saying anenu by mincha. Only the Shliach Tzibur says it by Shachris, but certainly not by Ma'ariv. But the Shlit of the Shulchan Aruch is uva'ar b'tzaimis gam hayochid omer b'chol tfilaisov, and this is in fact the minig of the Sfardim, that they start saying anenu from the night before of the tainus, because it's a tainus Tzibur. The Ramah writes, "V'nogu b'chol hatzaimis shelo lo'imrei ki b'mincha milvad Shliach Tzibur." So Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah writes, our minig is, the minig of Ashkenazim, is that only by Mincha do we start saying Anenu. The Shlich Tzibur, in the repetition of the Shemini Esrei, he says Anenu, but that's only the Shlich Tzibur. Writes the Mishnah Brura, what is the reason of the Shulchan Aruch Shita that you start saying Anenu even from the night before, in spite of the fact that you're still allowed to eat? Zoch the Mishnah Brura, the Etzem HaTainis Maschil Mi Be'erev. Because the actual tainis begins from the night before. The reason we're allowed to eat is because we don't impose the chumrah of having to have a 25-hour fast except for Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. But theoretically, in essence, the tainis begins even from the night before. And the Shar HaTzion points out that even though with the other three Tanaisim, with the exception of Tisha B'Av, and Shivasa B'Tamuz, the fast doesn't begin until the next morning. The tainis actually begins from the night before, because as we all know, Rabbi Isai, in Halacha and Jewish law, all Yom Tovim always begin from the night before. So Shivasa B'Tamuz theoretically begins from the night before, and therefore the Halachas Avelis should begin from the night before. Except, and the Mishnah brings a raya, Shem Yoshan Shuvein Arashoy Lechol. Now what's the Halacha, Rabbi Isai? If you go to sleep the night of Shivasa B'Tamuz, and at 2 o'clock in the morning you wake up and all of a sudden you're very hungry, you're very thirsty. So the halacha is, if you went to sleep that night, you're not allowed to eat unless you made a t'nai before you went to sleep that I'm not being metabel the tainis by going to sleep. But the Mishnah Brura is showing you that in fact the tainis actually begins from the night before. So therefore, you see clearly from this Mishnah Brura that the Mishnah Brura is saying, at least according to the Shita of the Mechaber, that in actuality the tainis begins the night of Shivasa B'Tamuz, and therefore all the halachas of Avela should begin. Is the prohibition of haircut, the prohibition of shaving, the prohibition of weddings, it should all begin from the night before. Azay Zok the Shulchan Aruch.
So, the most part is only Shivasa B'Tamuz, only Tisha B'Av do we start saying Anenu by Meyer. The other three we don't.
Well, I have a Sephardi in my shir of Yemeni descent. So he told me that they say Anenu. Okay, I mean I don't know. What's your descent?
Okay. Almost all the Sephardim only by the Tisha.
So what's your minig? Okay. What's your minig? Only by Tisha B'Av. Okay, fine. So with the exception of the Yemenites. So be that as it may, that's what you see from the Shulchan Aruch. And as I mentioned, this is a machlokes harishonim. So Ramesha finds in Zechet Tzadik Levroch in Arachaim Michele Kal Simon Kuf Samaches was asked a shaila in 1950. Now, why it's significant that it's 1950? Because such a shaila would not occur today. What's the shaila? Someone asked him, "Im Rashoyin Lases Nesuin Baor Lizayin B'Tamuz." Someone asked this shaila, "Can you make a chasana the night of Shivasa B'Tamuz?" In that year, 1950, Shivasa B'Tamuz came out on a Motzai Shabbos, which means Shivasa B'Tamuz was Sunday. It wasn't a Nidche, it was actually Sunday. Now, why is this going to happen in 1950? Because who makes a chasana on a Motzai Shabbos in the summer? Shabbos is over minimally at 9:20, right? So you make a chasana at 9:20, Motzai Shabbos. So what haste is the Kabbalah's punch going to be 11 o'clock? So the teretz is that in 1950, Rabbi Isai, there were Jews who were probably not personally observant, and therefore Shabbos really wasn't such an issue. But what was their shaila? Forget Shabbos and forget everything else. But can you make a chassan on Yissocher B'Tammuz? Which is a reality, because there are people even today, it's becoming less and less, that for instance won't make a chasana during Sfira. It'll be a treifa affair, but it won't be during Sfira. Why? Because it's bad luck. Everybody's worried about bad luck, especially when it comes to chasanas. So this was Rav Moshe Shai. He was asked in 1950, Motzei Shabbos, Yissocher B'Tammuz, can you make the chasana? So Rav Moshe writes over here, and he says that this is in fact a machlokes harishayim between the Baal Hamor and the Ramban and Masechta Tainis. What's that?
Webcast just started.
Okay, so sorry for those of you who are just tuning in. We're talking about when Yissocher B'Tammuz begins. So Rav Moshe writes in a tshuva that this is a machlokes harishayim between the Baal Hamor and the Ramban and Masechta Tainis. And Rav Moshe writes, which means Rav Moshe Feinstein brings a ride to the sheet of the Baal Hamor. He asks like kasha and other shitas, but he says that is not enough to dismiss the opinion of most of the Rishonim, which are Rashi and the Ramban and the Rif. But nevertheless, Rav Moshe says that the whole lineage of not getting married during the 3 weeks is bemis, it's only a minig. And the minig is because of Misamna Milsa, because it's bad mazel to get married in the time of Paronius. And therefore Moshe Feinstein writes, and he says that it could even be that Lagabi Chasana, the other Rishonim would also agree, which means even the Rishonim that say that the halachas of Avelis do begin, but it could be Lagabi halach of Chasana that they don't, and therefore v'gam levadze b'midig yesh lo'achalach ha'mekel v'lochein yesh lahatu l'tzorech. So therefore, Moshe Feinstein says you can be mekel if there is a compelling need to make the chasna the night of the Yissocher B'Tammuz. That's in spite of the fact that most Rishonim argue with the Baal Hamor, and the Shulchan Aruch we see says that the Tainus begins already from the previous night, and based on this psak, Rav Moshe was asked in a subsequent shuv in Chelik Daled Siman Kuf Yud Beis, can you shave the night of Yissocher B'Tammuz? Uvidvar mutter tisperes b'layla hashach l'Yissocher B'Tammuz. She says, according to what I explained in the previous tshuva, that there's a mocha to be mekel, so therefore Rav Moshe says l'tzorech gadol yesh lahatir, that if there's a compelling reason for a person to shave the night of Yissocher B'Tammuz, he's willing to be mekel. So this is the opinion of Rav Moshe Feinstein. Most Achronim argue with this psak of Rav Moshe Feinstein, and this predates Rav Moshe Feinstein by a couple hundred years, because the Chidah, Rabbeinu Yosef Chaim David Azuloi, the Chidah in the Tshuvas Chaim Shal Siman Chav Daled, was asked this shaila as well. And he brings someone that is indeed mekel and says that the halachas of Avelis do not begin from the night before. And then he writes and he says that it's not true. Because truth be told, he says, the Rishonim say that Hoya Hadinai saying that all of the 4 Tanesim, which meant are all these 4 Tanesim, Yissocher B'Tammuz, Tisha B'Av, Tzom Gedalia, and Asar B'Tevis, the Rishonim say, I mean, it is a fact, this is mitakonas hanevim. And Hoya Hadinai saying that by all 4 Tanesim, the Tana should begin from the night before. And Hoya Hadinai saying that just like it's also to bathe on Tisha B'Av and it's also to wear shoes on Tisha B'Av, etc., all those halachas should apply by all the 4 Tanesim. He says, however, we're making when it comes to fasting because it's difficult. It's too much of it's an imposition on the tzibur. But he says, "V'keven the tainus yudzayin b'tamuz mikra takonas v'gzeres anavim hoya lahafsik mi b'yayim k'tisha b'av nihi dahashta hikilu." Okay, today we're making lecha b'layla v'lirchaitz mikol makom zman paroniusu. It's a time of paronius. Now Now, what's the context of his shaila? He wasn't asked about shaving. He wasn't asked about chassidus. You know what he was asked about? He was asked about whether you can make a shachiyanu. Because in the 3 weeks, you're not supposed to make a shachiyanu. So the question is, a person got a new fruit the night of Yissocher B'Tammuz. And here it is, he wants to eat the new fruit, he wants to make a shachiyanu. So on this, the Chidah writes, and he says that no, that truth be told, Meikar Adin, the Avelis begins from the night of Yissocher B'Tammuz. We're making lagabi eating. And therefore he says, one shouldn't make a shachiyanu. And therefore, and a more recent pasuk, the Shevet Halevi Rav Vosner and Chelik Yud Simon Pei Aleph also addresses this shaila. He quotes from Moshe Feinstein, and he says, and he begs to differ. Umashakosov the suffix minute lohakal ani asdaiti ein kan suffix v'kam poshetly dafkal v'mishanoso. He says, "Enochinami, you're allowed to get married before Yissocher B'Tammuz." And I went to a chasana on Sunday, and there were many chasanas on Sunday. And he says, which is before the 3 weeks, and he says you're not only allowed, but you make shever brachas during the 3 weeks. You don't have music, you don't have dancing, etc. Because it's still the 3 weeks. But as far as getting married, the night of Yissocher B'Tammuz, absolutely not. So therefore, it's problematic. Unless a person has a very compelling reason to make a chasana to shave, it would be best not to. Now, once we've mentioned this other shaila, l'gabi shachiyanu, so the Shulchan Aruch, in fact, paskins this in Siman Tov Kuf Nun Aleph. Toiv li zor mi lomer shachiyanu ben ha-mitzorim al priya malbush al opinion ha-ben oimer. It's best not to say the shachiyanu during the 3 weeks, unless, for instance, you're making a pidyon haben, and by pidyon haben you make a shachiyanu. A pidyon haben you can't postpone; you have to make it on the 31st day. So therefore, that's a type of shachiyanu that you can in fact make. Zochti Mishnah Brura. Afal gav dafilu oval mavorach shachiyanu. So the Mishnah Brura bavards, and he says the halacha is that an ovel can make a shachiyanu. Now the 3 weeks should not be more chomer than a regular avelis, and a regular ovel in fact makes a shachiyanu. Zok the Mishnah Brura mikoma kam yami meilu kaven shehem shez hazman hu hazman paronius ein kedai loimer shachiyanu lazman hazeh. So Mishnah Brura says a very simple svara. What does shachiyanu means? Shachiyanu v'kimanu v'hiyanu lazman hazeh. You thank the Rebbeinu Shalom that I have reached this moment. You don't say that for the 3 weeks. The 3 weeks is a period of avelis. It's the saddest period of the Jewish calendar. So to say the word shachiyanu lazman hazeh, you brought me to this moment, is just inappropriate. That's the svara why you don't make shachiyanu. That said, the Mishnah Brura says, "V'hagra b'biyurai chaylik al zeh v'kosav tehu chumra yisera." The Goyin says that this is too far, it's too much. And the Huadin the Tas says the same thing. So therefore the Mishnah Brura says as a hachra that if you do have to make a shachiyanu, make it on the Shabbos of the 3 weeks, which is sort of a pshara between the two shitas. The Shulchan Aruch says don't make a shachiyanu. The guy that says you're allowed to make a shachiyanu the whole time. So if you have to make a shachiyanu, make it on Shabbos. Which brings us, Rabbi Yisai, to the following shaila. You are not supposed to buy new clothes, new items in the 9 days. You are allowed, however, to buy new clothes from Yissocher B'Tammuz till the 9 days. So what's the halacha? If you bought a new garment after Yissocher B'Tammuz, which you're not planning on wearing till after Tisha B'Av, do you make a shachiyanu or not? Now, the first thing we have to determine, Rabbi say, is when you buy a new garment, when do you make the shachiyanu? Do you make the shachiyanu when you buy it, or do you make the shachiyanu when you wear it? Now, if you make the shechiyanu when you buy it, so here you have a shayla, I'm buying it now, I'm not going to wear it till later, but if you make the shechiyanu when you buy it, then l'chari you should make the shechiyanu, which gets into this shayla. If on the other hand, you don't make the shechiyanu until you wear it, so since I'm not planning on wearing it until Tisha B'Av, till after Tisha B'Av, therefore there would be no shayla. Now, it must be said, Rabbi Isai, that the minig, I think the common minig today is that you do not make a shechiyanu on a new garment. You don't make a shechiyanu on a suit, you don't make a shechiyanu on shirt, on pants, etc., etc. The reason for that, Rabbi Isai, is that in Europe, getting a new garment was a big deal. So you get a new garment. People in Europe, they got a suit for their bar mitzvah, and they got a suit for their chasana. And hopefully it lasted and you didn't outgrow it. But that's what people did. They didn't have money, so a suit was a big deal. Today, what's a suit? They're saying, unless you buy Italian suits for $2,000, but your typical, I just heard today, Sims went out of business. I don't know what I'm going to do anymore. But you buy a suit, you don't make a shechiyanu. The Reshivas all said like this. But let's say you have a substantial purchase. Somebody asked me, Charlotte, he wants to buy a new couch. Now, a couch is a piece of furniture. It's going to cost, maybe several $1,000s, or certainly several $100s. So is he allowed to buy a new couch? So, if you tell me you shouldn't make a shechiyanu, and you tell me that you make a shechiyanu when you buy it, then you shouldn't buy it. If on the other hand, you tell me you make a shechiyanu when you use it, so over here, if you're not going to use it until after Tisha B'Av, so then it shouldn't be a problem.
Hatayva Meitiv is okay?
Well, Hatayva Meitiv is okay. It says it is okay, but unless somebody else is being nana from it, you make a shechiyanu, not Hatayva Meitiv. So the Kaf HaChaim writes, and he says, he brings the El Yerabba, that the El Yerabba writes and he says that a person, Shakona Beged Mesukin Kadim Shivasha B'Tamez, the Mavarach B'Shas HaKniya, the El Yerabba says when you buy a new garment or a new item, you should make the shechina when you buy it. Ulefize Asr Likneis Beged Mesukin Ben HaMitzarim. So according to him, that you make when you buy it, you shouldn't be able to buy new items during the 3 weeks. Zokt the Kaf HaChaim that this isn't our minig. The haminig levar tafke b'shas levisha. Ulefize efshel learmed demuter likneis beged mesukin gamkin acher shivasar b'tamez. You can in fact buy new items after shivasar b'tamez before the 9 days. Kaven dein haminig levar shechiyanu b'shas kniya. As long as you don't use it until after Tisha B'Av. That's how the Kaf HaChaim paskin. So the emes is that the place can bring down that even when a person buys it, even if he doesn't use it yet, there's simcha. And even if you don't make the shechiyanu until you actually use it or wear it, but nevertheless there's simcha when you buy it. So therefore, if possible, a person should not even buy new items during the 3 weeks, even up until Tisha B'Av, unless against there's compelling reason. For instance, chas and kala that have to buy new items, they're in fact allowed to buy it. My wife reminded me this week that many years ago I bought her the diamond ring. It was on Shivasar B'Tamuz. Now 40 plus years later, if I would have asked the Shalai, I would have said, "Now you should not buy it. That certainly you make something you make a shechiyanu on." So, but what did I know then when I was young and stupid? So now I'm not young anymore.
Why didn't you gave it to her? You didn't wear it.
No, we went to the Diamond District and we bought the thing, and then Motzai Shavas B'Tamuz, I gave her the ring.
So when did she make the bracha?
She didn't make any bracha. She didn't make a shechiyanu. Okay, that's Ha'ara 2. Ha'ara 3 Rabbi says an interesting halacha, an important halacha, and that is that during the 9 days, you're not supposed to wear freshly laundered shirts. That's the halacha. So the shaila is, Rabbi say, what do you do? What do you do? So, I mean, depending on where, depending on the society in which you live in, you could indeed wear the same shirt for 9 days. But if you have to appear in public, you have to appear among other human beings, this is a problem. So the Kaf HaChaim brings down a well-established minig. The way to get around this is that you wear these garments before Rosh Chodesh, which means you go ahead, whatever it is, Erev Rosh Chodesh Menachem Av, you go ahead and you put on whatever it is, 9 shirts, 10 shirts, 11 shirts, whatever it is, you put them on. In fact, the Hagan Buchach, the Buchacher says you can even put on five shirts simultaneously if it'll work. It's better. The person says it's best not to do that, but that's what you do. You go ahead, you put. What's that? To take them off, not to put. So. That's the halacha. How long do you have to wear it? So it says sha'achas. So the Paiskim say that sha'achas doesn't mean you have to wear each shirt for an hour. What is sha'achas? Sha'achas means you have to wear it some amount of time. What's the some amount of time you have to wear it for? Enough that it's no longer a fresh shirt. When you go ahead, you take a shirt out of the bag. It's fresh. It's like especially starch. The pockets you can't is stuck together. So that's a fresh shirt. So what do? You put on a shirt. You lay in your bed for a few minutes. You roll around. It's already ice fresh shirt, and that's what you do. So that's the halacha. Now, so what's the halacha, Rabbi say? If you forgot to do that, and you did not put on the fresh shirts. So the Paiskim say, in fact, this is, we'll start with a tshuva from the Betzel, a chochma of Betzal Stern's Chelik Dalet Simon Kuf Lamed Ches. The Eitzer Abaisai is that on Shabbos of the 9 days, Shabbos Chazoin, you start putting on multiple shirts. Meaning, Erev Shabbos Chazayin, you're allowed to put on a new shirt for Shabbos. So you go ahead, you put on a new shirt for the Suda, for Kabbalah Shabbos. You go to Shul, put on a new shirt. You come home, you take off the shirt. Next morning, you put on another shirt. That's already 2. Next morning for Shacharis, you go ahead, you put on another shirt. That's already 3. You come home and put on another shirt. That's 4. You go take a Shabbos afternoon shlof, you put on a shirt, that's 5. So through the meshach of an entire Shabbos, you can go ahead and you could put on, I don't know, depending on how long you want to wear it, but you can put on certainly 5, 6, 7 shirts. He says that he used to vani roga lahoyer b'Shabbos lifnei b'shchodeshov oigam be'emsa hashavua shekolechad yochen la'atzmei k'sonis nekiyas k'fi asher dorish l'meshchodes alatainis. He says he would announce before the 9 days everybody should put on shirts. And he says, however, if umisha shochach v'loy heichin v'yirish shemuter lahochin loy gam b'yem Shabbos kodesh. So on Shabbos you can put on as many shirts as you want. Tahayli b'yem Shabbos kodesh b'bayker yilbash k'soines acheres loy zusholis b'erev Shabbos and v'oisa yosin l'shmeres v'gamach ashinas atzorayim after you take the Shabbos afternoon nap yilbash acheres v'af. So I'm waiting for somebody to ask me. It's achona, right? So how can you do this? It's achona. V'af shehu oisekei bekavona shetila kisayis nikiyas muchanis l'me'achol aratainis. In spite of the fact that you're doing this so that you can have the shirts for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it may be, ein bekach klum. No problem. Why? Dehirhurim mutarim. Because as long as you're not articulating this, You're just thinking this. Hirhurim are mutarim. Hachana for Mechol Shabbos always involves you do it, you say it. Here you're not saying anything. Uvifrat mishu hu oisa b'Shabbos tanu levisha ksenes acheres naki who covered Shabbos. However, uvilvad shalayetzi hadavar befiv, provided that you don't say, guess what? I have to change shirts because I need it for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. This is a kin Rabbi Isai to the Shaila which we spoke out earlier this year when it came to Shavuos, that if Shavuos is Chal Motzai Shabbos, and you finally get to, usually when Shavuos is in the middle of the week, who has time to rest on Erev Shavuos? But if Erev Shavuos comes out on Shabbos, so this is all you need. Here you can go ahead, you can sleep against Shabbos guilt-free. This normally you feel guilty. I'm sleeping all Shabbos, but here it's guilt-free. Why? I'm sleeping so I can stay at Motzai Shabbos. So the halacha is, as we mentioned then, that if you tell your wife, Hetzachayin, I'm going to sleep, don't wake me up because I want to be able to stay up tonight and learn the Mishmar, then you can't sleep anymore. This is the same thing over here. Ukegoyin shu mavakish miishtoi Shabbos babayker achar tzarayim kiseines acheres lo yoymar tnili kiseines acheres ki es asher lavashti b'gzashem b'vercha ani roitze lahashi l'mei achol. If you say those words, then you're finished. The cholki agavne b'vadei osem. So that's how he gets out. That's how you can get out of this problem. It's best that hachacham is ena b'roishai, and therefore you should do this before Reish Chodesh Av. But if you didn't do it on Reish Chodesh Av, you have this eitzah of putting on multiple shirts on Shabbos, wearing them for a certain amount of time when they lose their freshness, and this way you can have Kloimar semi-fresh shirts for the 9 days. Now,
this is only shirts, right? It's not shiloh.
For underwear, it's not a shiloh. Pants, freshly dry clean pants used to be the same thing. Pardon? Why are you wearing weekday pants on Shabbos? You're not wearing, we're talking about the shirts. So pants you would have to wear dry, and there would have to be regular Shabbos pants, a roy for Shabbos. You would not be allowed to wear weekday pants. That's mukach.
Is there a difference between wash and wear shirts and laundered shirts?
No. Even wash and wear shirts are still called laundered shirts. They don't have to be freshly starched from the dry cleaners. Even if your wife does it the old-fashioned way and she washes them and hangs them up, that's also called laundered shirts.
I heard from a folks saying the method is called throw on the floor method. Take the shirt, throw it on the floor, step on it. You hold from that?
Besser nicht. Besser nicht. Yes.
On the Shepiyot, if this is a Shepiyot that's going to pass by the
It's going to pass what?
If it's going to pass by the Shepiyot, you're going to have it later.
Like what? Like what? Pidyon haben, yeah, but so that's you're going to make the mitzvah. You can only make the mitzvah when you make the pidyon haben, but you don't have to make the shechiyonu immediately. You can make it later, as long as it's still new.
My car engine went off. It's replaced under the warranty. When I get the new engine back, do I make a shechiyonu?
No.
Okay.
You make it dynamis. Let us finish this.
Why did the Shabbos by the kids who wear different color shirts? So you wear Shabbos and before I sit in the norm, that's when
well, you have to wear a shirt that you would wear on Shabbos. If you never wear colored shirts on Shabbos, you can't do this trick. This is, I guess, reserved for people who either wear colored shirts on Shabbos or only wear white shirts during the week. So I saw to say for Madani Yontif that the Mayani Yontif brings this tshuva from the B'tzel HaChochma. Aval l'chayra yesh l'tmoya tuva al anhoga zu lahachlif hachultzes b'Shabbos Kodesh. Harei lo hitiru lilbosh begonim mechubasim rak l'Shabbos atzim mishum kavod Shabbos. He says, the truth be told, you're only allowed to wear freshly laundered clothes for l'kavod Shabbos. This is not l'kavod Shabbos. V'gam bazeh b'keish hitir kivur b'paiskim. V'im kein dayenu mashitir l'ser Shabbos kodesh. Over here, Rabbi, he's touching on a shiloh. The minig of the Ramah is that on Shabbos Chazayin you don't wear Big Day Shabbos. My follower Shalom was raised in Frankfurt, Germany, and he always used to call Shabbos Chazayin Schwarz Shabbos, which means the black Shabbos, and that's because in Germany they did not wear Big Day Shabbos on Shabbos Chazayin. People would come to shul, and they would wear weekday clothes. It's Tisha B'Av. I mean, it's the 9 days.
Casual Shabbos.
So he says, B'kaisha hitiru is this to wear Big Day Shabbos. Over here, you're going ahead and you're abusing this heter. But the truth of the matter is that the Goyin, the sheet of the Goyin, and this is the Hanhaga of Litvish yeshivas, and this is, I think, the common minig in America, is that we do wear Big Day Shabbos for Shabbos. But that said, he says it's only because hitiru. So therefore he wonders, you're not wearing it for Shabbos. He says he doesn't understand it. Then he, however, brings Rav Yashiv, who, when he wrote this with Shlita, unfortunately, it's Tzatzal, that Rav Yashiv holds the Kevin the Naktinin Kamei HaGra. We are not like the Gra, that we do wear Big Day Shabbos and Shabbos Chazayin. Shemachlif and Kol Big Day Shabbos havi begetter hutra kesuda shloima b'shaitai. So just like on Shabbos Chazayin, Rabbi said we eat fleishiks. We don't eat fleishiks the whole week, but we eat fleishiks on Shabbos Chazayin. So on Shabbos, even Shabbos Chazayin. So the halacha is you're allowed to have kesuda shloima b'shaitai. You're allowed to have meat. You don't have to be memayit because it's hutra. Shabbos is Shabbos. Everything goes in terms of it's covered Shabbos. So therefore, Rav Yasha says, "Hu adin," just like you're allowed to have suda shloima b'shaita, a kingly meal, akin to shloima melech. Hu adin, you're allowed to go ahead and to wear as many shirts as you want. V'lo shayach avelis b'Shabbos klal v'oid. He writes, the Kevin Shemachlif Pamo Pamayim b'Shabbos Kodesh Vade Nene Gam b'Shabbos. You enjoy it. You enjoy wearing it's a new shirt. You feel better about it. So it is in itself a covered Shabbos, and therefore it seems to be Rabbi say that this is common practice that if a person did not put on the shirts before the 9 days, he's allowed to wear to change multiple times on Shabbos, so that he should have freshly laundered shirts for the rest of the week. Of course, if Tisha B'Av comes out. It depends when it comes out. Sometimes it's not much of a harvocha. Parshas Pinchas has in it all the korbanos of the Chagim, all the korbanos that we makriv on the Yomim Tovim are all enumerated in Parshas Pinchas. But the Parshas HaKarbonos Abayse begins with the Korban Tamid. The Korban Tamid was brought every day in the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore, since it's the first of the Korbanos, so therefore the pasuk tells us, "Tzavas b'nei Yisrael, marta lemes karbinei lachmin leishai, reach nichachi tishmu lachliv b'moadai." As hakeves echad tasa v'abayker es hakeves hasheni tasa ben arboy. In the mitzvah of hakravis korban tamid, twice a day, tamish hashachar, tamish ben arbayim, every single day, 365 days a year, were brought in the Beis Hamikdash. Ironically, Rabbi Isai, the Chazal tell us that Shiva Chamisha Dvarim Yiru Laviseinu B'Yud Zayin B'Tammuz. Therefore, the reason we fast on Yissocher Frand is because there are 5 terrible things that happened on Yissocher Frand. And the Gemara Masechta Taanis lists the 5 things that happened. Nishtabru haluchais. When Moshe Rabbeinu came down and saw them worshiping the Egel, he broke the luchais. Ubatal hatamid. The carbon tamid ceased, was stopped being brought. V'hufka ha'ir. The outer wall was breached. The Sarf Apostumis HaTorah. The Roman general burnt the Sefer Torah. V'hem Tzelem B'Heichal. And he erected an idol in the Beis Hamikdash. Those are the 5 terrible things that happened on Yissocher Frand. So if we think about those 5 things, Shviras Haluchais, Bittul Hatamid, breaching of the wall, Hufka Ha'ir, Sarf HaPostumis HaTorah, the burning of the Sefer Torah, Hem Tzelem B'Heichal. If you had to rank not number 1, but which would be number 5, which one would you pick to be number 5? So I heard a ha'ara rabbi say from Reb Aaron Lichtenstein that l'chayra the Bittul HaTamid doesn't seem to be as tragic an event as the other 4 things. Shviras haluchais, we lost the luchais that were written by Elokim. Hufka Ha'ir, this was the beginning of the end. The wall was already breached. Putting up at Selam in the Beis Hamikdash, a disgrace. But Batal Hatamid, the Beis Hamikdash, the Avodas Beis Hamikdash did not come to an end. So what's the tragedy? What's the tragedy of the Bittul HaTamid that this is listed and together with all the other things, which apparently they're all great tragedies? So Bryce, I think that this can be explained, or explains this based on a very, very interesting medrash that the Maral the Nesivas Olam brings. This is an incredible medrash. The Maral quotes this in Nesivas Olam, Nesiv Avas Re'eh Perek Aleph. The reason I give you the quotation, the Mar Mokum, is because of all the Torah that I've ever spoken out, the question that I get most often, where is this medrash, is this particular medrash. I said this medrash at one of the Siyam Hashasin, and people for years are asking, where is this medrash? Now, ironically, Rabbi Isai, I cannot find this medrash. I mean, that I can't find it, the computer can't find this medrash. So the Maral brings it, he says that this medrash, Timsa Bechiber Ein Yankiv B'Hakdamas HaKaisev. This is in the Hakdama to the Ein Yankiv, he brings this medrash. Now, if the Maral brings the medrash and the Yankiv brings the medrash, I trust it. And there are midrashim that they had that we don't have. But what does the medrash say? What is the pasuk that defines what Torah is all about? So he says, Ben Zaymer says, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Then Nana Zaymer, Matzinu pasuk Kol Yeshem, he said. There's a pasuk that is more definitive of what Torah is all about. V'hu v'yohavta l'reacha kamaycha. Shimon ben Pazi Aimer. No. Matzinu pasuk Kol Yesher. V'hu es hakeves echa tasa v'abeiki v'es hakeves hasheni tasa ben arboy. The pasuk that is the essence of Torah, that's kol ha-Torah kula, is as hakeves echa tasa v'abeiki v'es hakeves hasheni tasa ben arboy, the akrav, the carbon tamid. Now, if you had to pick a pasuk, I could understand Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's the fundamental of Emunah. I could hear V'afta l'recha kamaycha because it's the fundamental of Ben Adam l'chaverei. And indeed, Shema Yisrael is the fundamental Ben Adam l'makam. V'afta l'recha kamaycha is the fundamental of Ben Adam l'chaverei. But never would I pick What's the pshat? So the Maral, you can look up the Maral. The Maral says, is because the essence of Avodah, the essence of being an Eved of the Rebbeinu Shalom, is tedious. Day in, day out. Day in, day out. Every single day without a hefsek. That shows I am an Eved. I'm there day in, day out without a stop. Rain, sleet, snow, or hail, no matter what. Ich bin da. I'm there. That's what Torah is about, being an Eved Hashem. This is what an Eved Hashem is all about. An Eved Hashem is to be there day in, day out. The Korban Tamid was never stopped. Yom Kippur, Pesach, Erev Pesach, there always had to be a Korban Tamid. That's why Rabbi said that was the tragedy of Bittul HaTamid. Because once you break that streak, once you break that shleimus, then everything begins to dissipate and to fall apart. And that's why this indeed was the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end was the Bittul HaTamid, that which they had brought constantly. I mean, from the time that they had the Mishkan, through Noiv and Givain and Shiloh and the Mishkan, the Beis Hamikdash, constantly, every single day, day in, day out. When that stopped, it was the beginning of the end. Things began to unravel. And you can understand, Rabbi, in the context of which I said it at that time, 15 years ago. That's what Daf Yomi is. Day in, day out. Every single day. Whether it's Erev Pesach, whether it's Yom Kippur, whatever it is, it's got to get done. And that, Rabbi Isai, is what Avodah is all about. That's what Avdus is all about. And that's why Ben Pazi says, and in fact the Medrash says, Halacha ke Ben Pazi. That's how we paskin. That is indeed the most definitive pasuk of the Torah. The other Rabbi I'd like to say is something that's current, and I feel I have to say it. You know, this is in fact indeed Parshas Pinchas, Rabbi Isai, when Pinchas stood up for an act of immorality, to protest an act of immorality. And I have to say, because this pains me greatly, the ruling of this week of the Supreme Court, in which the Supreme Court declared DOMA, which is the Defense of Marriage Act, to be unconstitutional, and that up until now the federal government did not recognize a marriage between two peoples of the same sex, and that now has gone by the wayside. And I've been holding my breath what would be with the ruling of the Supreme Court. I wasn't so concerned about what would be in California, because I don't live in California. Unfortunately, I live in a state in which they recently passed this law, and you'll recall, Rabbi Isai, in November, I told everybody it's a mitzvah aseh deraisa to vote against that. But what can I do? I live in the free, quote, the free state of Maryland, the People's Republic of Maryland, and it's a one-party state, and what can I do? And no point in me going back to my home state of Washington, because it's just as bad, if not worse. And I have no intention to move to Mississippi. But I had hoped that the federal government, at least, would at least uphold the law of the land. And unfortunately, that's not the case. And now it's the law of the land that people of the same gender can in fact get married. What's mind-boggling to me, surprising to me, is that the Defense of Marriage Act, if I'm not mistaken, was passed in 1996. 1996 is not all that long ago. It passed the Senate by a vote of 85 to 15, which means it was signed by President Clinton, who is not a conservative, was not a conservative president. It's a liberal president. And it was passed by an overwhelming majority of Congress, of the Senate. I mean, where do you get a vote today, 85 to 15? You don't get that. So in a matter of less than 20 years, the whole Medina changed. The whole culture changed. And something that people used to be repulsed by today becomes standard operating procedure. How did that happen? So I'm not a fan of his at all, and I don't think he always says the wisest of things, but inadvertently, I think, Vice President Biden, how did this happen? It happened because of a television show, which I have never seen, but a television show in which there was, quote, there was a couple of the same sex. So what changed the country? What changed the country is because people in Hollywood, they think that this is perfectly all right, and therefore it became something that you watch on television, and that changed the Medina. That changed the country in less than a generation. And to me, this is nothing short of shocking. You know, many years ago, Rabbi Feinstein was asked, why doesn't he come out and make a proclamation against a certain type of dress that women wear? I don't know the context of what exactly they were wearing, but Rabbi was asked, why don't you make a kol korah, why don't you come out with the psak, why don't you come out with a letter, just to wear such type of clothing? So Moshe Feinstein said that because what I say can't compete with something was a manuvel in Paris zogt, which translated mean I can't compete with that which a manuvel, a pervert in Paris, says is the fashion. That's Moshe Feinstein. And we can't compete with Hollywood. Hollywood says it's kosher, it's right, it's all right, civil rights. I knew this was going to happen. This was never about just being able to rent. This was never just about job discrimination. This was an agenda to legitimize this. That they're as legitimate as any other married couple. And they won. We lost the battle. They won. The war is over. You know, the Ramban in Parshas Nitzavim, on a difficult pasuk. It's a difficult pasuk to explain. L'man space haroves atzmeya. But the Ramban writes over there, and he says it's the nature of people. Zok the Ramban that kasher tovei b'libay tzas hatayva v'hu yimalet havaisav. If a person goes after his wants and his desires, oz yesif b'nafshi tavi yisera. The more you get into taivas and pleasures, and it's going to v'tiyet tzmei moed l'dover hahu she'ochal v'hataiva v'tisava oed l'dvorim roim shlo hoisa mitavas lohem mitchila. Zok the Ramban ki hamisava lezimas hanoshim hayofais. One who desires relations with beautiful women, it'll eventually kishiyashativ bezimasan tavo taiva lavoi al hazachar v'al behema. The truth of the matter is, this did not start with this gay movement. It started, Rabbi Sai, what's called, I hate to use this word in the base manners, with the sexual revolution in the 1960s and 70s. That's when it started. When promiscuity became the law of the land, or the hanhoga of the land. And this is what it leads to. This is what the Ramban is saying. Promiscuousness and licentiousness and all this will just lead to unbridled taiva. And these are the peiros. This is what that revolution wrought. And here we are today in 2013, and this is where America's holding. It's not where America's holding, it's where the world is holding. The ganze Welt is holding by this. And even in Eretz Yisrael, one of the platforms of the Yesh Atid movement is in order to go ahead and to have same-sex marriages. Rahmana litzlan. But there we have to draw the line. Because Eretz HaKadosh won't be saved with this. The Holy Land won't be saved with this. Maybe the world can be saved with it, maybe America can be saved with it, but Eretz Yisrael can't be saved with this.
This year was presented by Rav Yissocher Frand Sunday. You're listening to Radio Kobarama, WMDI 107.9.